If Trump is so concerned about fighting crime, why isn't he sending the National Guard into red states where the most crime is? That's a question that not only I'm asking, but also the governor of California just asked. Take a look.
Just consider Speaker Johnson's state and district. Just look at the murder rate that's nearly 4 times higher than California's in Louisiana. It's Speaker Johnson, 4x higher. I'm just offering this again. You not see this on Fox News, so President may not be familiar with these facts. So I want to present some facts to the President of the United States, and imagine this is alarming to the President to learn these facts. So the carnage in Louisiana is well defined. His state of mind doesn't seem to be focused on the issue of crime and violence. It's about an expression of authoritarianism. He reflects and waxes, I think, 2 out of the last 3 days, talking about being a dictator. I hope people pay attention.
Yes, as you can see right there, Louisiana has a substantially higher crime rate than most blue states. If you actually look at the top 3 highest murder states in the country, it's Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. So if Trump thinks the National Guard is so effective at fighting crime, and that's really his goal, why doesn't he send the National Guard to those states?
Well, it's a good question. And I really agree with what Gavin Newsom is saying, which is like, this is not about lowering the amounts of crime that's happening in the United States, which is a valiant effort. It's about authoritarianism, and it's about Trump exerting total control over every single aspect of the United States, but only certain cities, right? It's only blue cities. It's places like Los Angeles. It's places like Chicago, Washington, D.C. He says he wants to do it in New York City as well. He said he wants to intervene in the mayoral election in New York City, like stuff like that, where we have to kind of scratch our heads and wonder, like, what is the end goal here? Because if it's solving crime or ending crime, as he says all the time, we're going to make the United States the hottest country on earth, no more crime. Wouldn't you send your troops to the actual like hotbeds for crime in this country, which we'll put up a graph right now, but 8 out of the top 10 states with the highest murder rates are Republican red states. States like Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Missouri, Arkansas, South Carolina. Those are the places where we would be really sending our troops if we're interested in solving crime or depreciating crime, right, Micah? Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's like California is like not only not at the top of the list, like it's not even close. Like you look at Virginia, which isn't part of the top 10 in terms of in terms of homicide states, but it still has a homicide rate that's something like 110% that of California. It is higher. So he's sending the National Guard not to just like, not the most dangerous areas, but areas that just like point blank period are not near the top most dangerous places. And it's like, it begs the question, which is like, if you're really concerned so much about murder and homicides and stopping all this violence, why would you send them here? And the obvious answer is he's not, right? Trump doesn't like the Democrats because they're part of the other party. And he's trying to own the liberals and using the military to do that by basically sending the military to occupy American cities. Not only is that like a terrible authoritarian thing to do, but it's also really inefficient if you actually want to solve the crime problem because military occupation is super expensive. I mean, there's a story that came out a little while ago about a guy in DC who got his car crushed by a military vehicle it's not made for civilian streets, right? The streets are breaking under the weight of these military vehicles that are not meant to be there, right? This is like a civilian country. It's really expensive to pay for lodging for all of these members of the military, and they're not best suited to police the area. So if you really want to like have more law enforcement, well, hire more police or something. Like, I don't know, if you want to make it a national effort, I don't know, send the FBI in, but using military forces against Americans is not an effective way to actually solve the crime issue. It's extremely expensive. It's extremely authoritarian. And ultimately, I don't think he cares because it's not about solving crime. If that was the case, they'd be invading Mississippi right now.
And, the thing is, Micah, since last week when Donald Trump sent in the National Guard to Washington, D.C., he took federal control over the Metropolitan Police Department. Of course, that's the D.C. local police. He's taking control over all these local entities to try to exert more power. You'd think that the National Guard would be going around and, like, solving crime, but really the videos that we've been seeing have been them just sitting in their vans trying to keep cool. They're just, like, doing laps around the National Mall, like,
Picking
eating
up
ice
trash.
cream. Yeah, picking up trash, taking pictures with tourists. Like, he's acting like the National Mall is like Tehran or something, where it's just this hotbed of terrorists everywhere. Like, dude, that's not what's going on. Like, and it begs the question, right? If he's so invested and committed to lowering the amount of crime we have in this country, why isn't he sending in troops to actually the top 10 states with the highest murder rates? And I have to point our attention back to January 6th, 2021, when Donald Trump actually sent in around 1,500 of his own supporters to the nation's capital to overthrow the election in which he lost. Did he send the National Guard in there? He could have, right? That seems
Well,
like some criminal
so it's
activity
funny.
going
He
down
said
there.
that he couldn't bring in the National Guard then because Nancy Pelosi said no. Last
Yeah.
time I checked, Nancy Pelosi's not in favor of him using the National Guard right now. But her no doesn't matter because she's not involved in the process
Right. And
at
so
all.
Trump says he couldn't bring in the National Guard during January 6th, which is why he said it went on for so long. But now, as president, again, he's showing that he could have brought in the National Guard to help quell this protest if he really wanted to. Obviously, he didn't fucking want to stop it because he wanted to be president and be a dictator. So that's the issue here. It's a little bit of a conundrum, Micah. I don't understand it. I guess the only conclusion we have to be bringing ourselves to is that he actually just doesn't care about crime and he just
Well,
wants to
if
own
he
the libs.
if he cared about crime so much, then why would he pardon all of the January 6 rioters who assaulted
Great
police
question.
officers? Some of them were actual pedophiles and child molesters who are now back in prison for new charges. Um,
It's a great
so
question.
yeah, that's like, releasing a bunch of criminals onto the street, I don't think is the best way to go about fighting crime. He also has ended prosecution of people for corruption charges. He's gutted the corruption division. I wonder why, right? Like, I'm a person who believes in law and order. I think there's a lot of people that are not in jail that should be in jail because the vast majority of people who commit crimes are not caught. They should be prosecuted. They should have their day in court, and justice should be served. But that's not what's happening right now, and I'm upset about that. I think you should be too. And if you want to hear more news like this, guys, subscribe to this channel. Thanks.